Hey everyone, I'm Charting Man Dan with the Chart Guys. We're going to check in on the markets now that Nvidia's earnings are out of the way. A little bit of weakness in semiconductors to end things and some strength in the metals. Is there rotation going to small caps as we've been watching for? Let's look at the charts and answer the questions. Learn how to trade stocks, crypto, and hype sectors with a global chat room led by professional traders, as well as daily live streams at chartguys.com. So reminder, with the holiday on Monday, we've got a shortened trading week ahead. A couple notes, did a live stream with Lamont Q&A. That's on our YouTube channel. Also cannabis and psychedelic video from yesterday, live stream. That's on our YouTube as well. So a lot of people are looking to the possibility that we see consolidation in September due to historical norms and probabilities. But again, it's one day at a time, and we have a nice equilibrium shaping up in the NASDAQ. The S&P 500 did hit an all-time high this past week. We do have to keep an eye on a potential rising wedge as the bull breaks are lacking follow-through, but we also remind ourselves that in a bull market, rising wedges often, number one, break bull, but number two, just keep grinding higher for a significant period of time. So the pattern in itself is not a reason for me to be looking bearish. It's just we're aware that bulls are a bit extended. And again, I just keep defaulting to the same thing I've been saying in these videos for 4 months. If the bears do not confirm a daily downtrend, not just lose the uptrend, lower high, lower low. If we do not set a daily lower high and lower low, nothing changes. And so if we're looking at the S&P 500, we have a couple little support levels. This one's the most important level for me, the most clear pivot that we've seen recently. There's a little level up there. Consolidation on Friday, pretty decent, but again, just one day at this point. And all the consolidation days we've seen, for the most part, have still been seeing rotation. You know that I like to keep an eye out for when QQQ, XLF, XLV are all at the low of the day at the same time, because it stands out that something different. In this bull market, the rotation has been the main theme. More often than not on the morning, you're going to see XLF and XLV doing this, and QQQ and SMH doing this, and it's very often inverse. I can't tell you how many times this past week I'm typing in the chat room in the first 15 minutes, QQQ SMH at the low of the day, XLV XLF at the high of the day, or vice versa. Probably 3 out of the 5 days that happened. And so when that is happening, it's more of a balancing act as opposed to a money leaving the market act. But we'll see if that changes. NASDAQ, I love the clarity. So heading into this week, I was looking for the daily lower high, and I added, 2 weeks ago, I swapped out my SPXS hedge, which I had from when I was traveling, and I just swapped it for SQQQ because my thesis is we're going to see rotation out of semis, which means by default out of the NASDAQ, and looking for it to go into healthcare, small caps, etc. And so I added to that short, looking for this daily lower high to start the week, and I did stop out of the added short. I still have the core, and that obviously was a good day on Friday for that position. And so far, my IRA is telling me I'm positioned correctly as far as having SQQQ. I'm long some IWM, I'm long silver, and the IRA just keeps grinding higher. Nothing fancy or spectacular, but slow and steady, which is just fine with me. So I'm viewing this as an equilibrium on the NASDAQ. We've got our low, high, higher low, and I'm viewing that as a lower high. And so, again, this is the most important pivot to me, that low of August 20th. If that holds, we're going to set a higher low and keep tightening up this next week, which is possible. Holiday week, we'll see. But the direction this breaks is going to be very telling, because if this were to break bear, and you could be viewing this, is it a head and shoulders? Maybe. If that breaks bear, we can then say that's the first time we've confirmed a clear downtrend and a clear shift in 4 months or whatever it's been. So definitely paying attention to start, again, I've been saying in these videos, nobody's getting rich from the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ over the last 6 weeks or 8 weeks. Even the NASDAQ here, we closed the end of June. And where did we just close here? We're up 1.7% in all of July and all of August. So normally that's, a decent amount, but not what we're used to on the way up. So what I mean by that is we're slowing our ascent. And now it's just a question of, are we about to roll over a bit? Keeping in mind, as I've said in these videos again, we know we're scouting monthly higher lows. I'm looking for the monthly consolidation because we just went straight up a very significant amount, and then we're going to look for a monthly higher low. So in the short term, I'm watching for signs of the monthly consolidation. And then when we get it, I'll be watching for the monthly higher low. Semiconductors, SMH. So again, similar. And, this isn't a picture perfect equilibrium, but this is how I'm viewing it in my brain. It's all about that low. If it holds, it's a higher low. We'll keep tightening up, but a solid red day. We had NVDA earnings, which initially was a little bit of back and forth. The bell rang the next day. We shot up. We double topped at the all-time high, pretty much to a penny, and then rolled over into the weakness in the semiconductors. And then some of that was magnified by BABA earnings. I don't even know, but BABA, some competition for NVDA or whatever. That's a part of the narrative to end the week. But looking down at this base of support, that's going to be a very key level for semis. And we're still well above it. So, we need another 3% of downside. That's why I'm open to the possibility we have a tightening range into perhaps the second week of September. Healthcare. So healthcare is back testing and trying to hold the previous resistance as support. It's not really doing a great job as we fell through it, but the daily consolidation is still fine at this point. If the bears were going to run with it, confirming the daily downtrend here would have been the time to do it and head back to that gap fill. And bears couldn't. We bounced off daily EMA 12. We closed strong on Friday. So we're going to be watching the low of that consolidation and these two resistances. But again, it's a kind of setup where, oftentimes what stocks and charts do gives us information, but also what they don't do gives us information. And again, you confirm a daily downtrend after going straight up, not building supports on the way up, and you got a big fat gap there. That should be easy for the bears to fill. And the fact that they couldn't get close to getting into that gap does stand out. So as far as answering the question of rotation, XLV divided by SMH. So is this semis going into healthcare? We would have to break this level. That's what I'm watching to start September. If we break that level, that's going to affirm to me, yep, you're on the right track. And IWM divided by SMH is already at the highest that it's been in the last 2 months. So already on the right track with IWM. And it's just a question of how long does that shift continue? As far as a dash to trash, which is something that you see where, the weakest things, the things that haven't run are the last to run before a bigger picture top. For me to call it a dash to trash, I would need IWM at all-time highs, which we're not close to at this point. The financial sector is at all-time highs. XLF just riding higher. Again, these daily higher lows are our guide. I'm looking at a higher low. We held it. Another little support level there. And just a new all-time high all week. Tuesday, all-time high by a penny. Got it Wednesday. Got it Friday. And that is helping IWM because, again, the largest sector holdings in IWM is the financial sector. So that's only an added benefit. IWM. Daily stair-step did break on Friday into the start of consolidation, but I'm going to be watching what's the response to first hourly oversold. We haven't seen hourly oversold since we got the breakout, and we're going to be looking for a daily higher low here. And again, just bigger picture, IWM divided by QQQ is making the shift. It's just a question of, go to the monthly chart. Is this just a little dinky 1 month rotation like we've seen a couple of times? Did it here with zero follow through? It did it here with zero follow through. It did it here with zero follow through. Do we get 2 green months in a row of this chart? When's the last time that's happened? I mean, in terms of clear green, I guess here, but hardly. It hasn't really happened in almost 3 years. So if we were to see another solid green candle in September, that would be meaningful to me. And so again, I've already positioned now for this thesis. And now it's just a question of, on a daily or weekly basis, am I getting signs that I'm wrong? And that's essentially what I'm looking for. Tesla is getting interesting. So Tesla had the bull break of its equilibrium without follow through. We then saw another leg up without follow through. And we have to remember, bigger picture, monthly equilibrium is the most likely scenario. And I'm viewing this as the low, high, higher, low. And we are looking at anything under the all-time high as a monthly lower high. And we just had multiple monthly inside bars break bull with no follow through. So I am just keeping in the back of my mind, It wouldn't be surprising at all to set a monthly lower high and to keep tightening up within this range towards the end of the year. The bears have a lot of proving to do if that's going to happen. I'm watching this channel on the daily time frame. I'm going to have to adjust that, but something like that. Could be a rising wedge, whatever. But if this breaks bear, that's going to increase the probabilities that the monthly lower high is shaping up. And again, it's really going to boil down to, does the NASDAQ see monthly consolidation? And then we would look for the NASDAQ monthly high or low, just like we would look for the Tesla equilibrium monthly high or low. But keeping it in the back of my mind that monthly lower high is the most likely scenario. So watching for that to potentially be shaping up. Other sectors showing a lot of strength. When the NASDAQ was bouncing, which was the majority of the week, pretty much last Friday through Thursday, we had both the quantum and uranium names really strong. Look at the bounce on IONQ, just straight V shape, 20%. And again, same thing. This was a confirmed weekly downtrend. This was a drop to the lowest level that we've seen in months, and there was zero follow through. So what the bears failed to do gives us information, and that is a base of support. I am watching for potential swing entry for a daily higher low on IONQ because this is a potential monthly cup and handle. So if the NASDAQ doesn't see any monthly consolidation, then this is definitely a spot where I'm looking to potentially get another leg up. And if it does, then I will be patient and watch more for the weekly, or I should say the monthly equilibrium to keep playing out. But I mean, so much of what I do is based on the ETF, and then I look for the individual names that are favoring that. For example, if I'm looking for, NASDAQ, if I'm seeing NASDAQ weakness, I want to play the weaker names bearish. And if I'm seeing strength, I want to play the stronger names bullish. And so I'm just waiting for the NASDAQ to give direction from this equilibrium that's forming to dictate the direction that I'm looking, essentially. But other than that, we had a RGTI. It was a daily rising wedge that broke bear. But again, no follow through. Look at the weekly support hold here. If we hold support, we're not going to drop. Held support by 1% or 2%. And so still holding strong there. And QBTS also still tightening up sideways. We'll see. Uranium CCJ had a big all-time high push first thing on Friday, but then a pretty big sell-off. We'll have to be cautious that this is a bull flag with zero follow-through on the weekly. And just reminding ourselves that the monthly chart just went straight up 100% since last monthly consolidation, 130%. So if this weekly bull flag with no follow-through leads to a confirmed daily downtrend, a lot of work still has to happen, but if that were to happen, we'd look for monthly consolidation. But for now, we'll scout a daily higher low in CCJ. OKLO, watching for the tightening range here. SMR, weaker. Still going to look for a monthly higher low in SMR, but not interested in the lead bear while the other names are still holding on. But definitely keeping an eye on these names and viewing them related because, again, quantum needs big energy and, uranium, energy of the future. The narratives are loosely tied, and I've seen enough correlation with how they trade with each other that it's worth paying attention to both of them together. But again, I am scouting those daily higher lows, specifically on IONQ, and knowing that it would likely align with a NASDAQ daily higher low. And then if the NASDAQ breaks bear, then I would likely stop out. So that's the way I'm going to be approaching things. I do plan to have my IRA go up in monthly consolidation. And obviously the way I do that is by grabbing the inverse ETFs. And where I stand right now, I'm fairly balanced. It depends on what metals are doing that given day. But it wouldn't take much for me to start seeing green on red days if I add a little bit more. And that's what I was trying to do to start the week. And I did stop out that added position. Actually, you know what? I got it back. I forgot. Day trade, I did get this bear flag. I do have the larger position right now in SQQQ because I got this bear flag with a good entry. I exited half right at the low of the day, and I just put my stop over that, and we didn't break it. So we'll see. How this tightening daily range on QQQ breaks is going to significantly dictate how I'm viewing September. And again, it might take the second week of September before we know. And of course, the FOMC, second week of September, right? Mid-September, 15th maybe? I have to double check the date. 13th. Commodities. So the dollar, again, if weekly EMA 12 is resistance, nothing changes. Great. That took all of 5 seconds of analysis. Gold bull break of the weekly equilibrium. We've been saying for the whole year, if weekly EMA 12 is support, nothing changes. So the bulls are in full control, looking up at that all-time high. Silver got a nice break, got 14-year highs or whatever it is. Same thing. You know, the position that I have in silver that I've had for a long time, for a while it was monthly EMA 12 as my guide, and that kept me in during some of these retracements, but I am changing it now. It's the weekly. I will exit when the weekly EMA 12 is lost at this point. So I'll be willing to give up a bit of my profit to try and let the trade play out longer. Ideally, all-time highs, that'd be nice. But I'll exit and lock in that profit when we lose weekly EMA 12. But still looking real good here. The miners looking real good. They led the way. The bull break on the miners long before. And just the stair, look at the GDX stair step. 8 days in a row, higher low every day. Just really nice. Same thing, EMA 12 on the, look at this. It's just, we just want to make things simple. If this little line is under these candles, you hold. How dumb and simple does that sound? But I mean, it keeps you in this trade for the entire year through a whole bunch of periods of consolidation. So very impressive bull break there. And again, just little clues. It led the metals, so it slightly increases the probabilities that the metals are going to get that bull break as well. Wow, all-time highs. That happened last week. I missed that. GDX all-time highs. That's impressive. GDXJ not there yet? No. Again, I'm just playing this through silver. I've got silver and gold physical positions buried 12 feet deep somewhere on a beach. But paper, I'm trading it through silver. Is that it? No. Oil. Energy had a really good week. They're seeing some rotation into energy. Look at that resistance wall just right through it. Similar to XLV, how XLV had a wall and we just ran right up to it, overextended, and just made it through it in a daily stair step. And XLE just did a very similar thing. So getting to multiple month highs, there's a gap to fill at 92.23. And oil, I don't think it's that strong. No. Energy is much stronger than oil. Oil is a weekly downtrend. Granted, it had no follow through. We are watching for a monthly high or low patiently. But, I mean, if we look at XLE divided by oil, commodity, it's probably seeing a big bull move. Yeah, this is the strongest the energy sector has been compared to the commodity in months. Forgot to look at UNH on the healthcare side. We had a headline, flushed it down. I day traded that headline, flipped it, I think, 297s to 301 or something, because I already have a little bit of swing exposure. But that was a nice, I mean, that's the perfect example of day trading into a swing position where, if you're on top of it and have a decent entry on that fear flush, and you got to be on top of it because it lasted a couple minutes. But, if you get in 296, 297, 298, and if you can sell half, 1% higher, and you stick your stop down at, 295, you're still in this trade. And you now have a nice swing position. So we'll see if we can get another leg up here. We got to see the bulls break 310.68 and 316.40. But again, it's doing the same thing as XLV. Bear break, no follow through. The gap was right there. Come and get it. Couldn't get it. So what the bears failed to do gives us information about the bulls. Natural gas, who cares? All right, a little more Washington clips at the end here. Don't forget to do good things. Check out the live streams. And we'll see you soon. Establish those game plans. You can have 2 game plans. This is what I'm going to do if the NASDAQ breaks this sideways range bull. This is what I'm going to do if the NASDAQ breaks it bear.